welcome back to Different Style Whites.
Yes.
Yes, and we are getting even more different style than usual this week. And I got to tell you, John, my blood's been running cold since the last
Oh,
time we talked.
dude, is it chilly in this room or is it just me? It's
Oof.
fucking.
It's cryonic.
It's cryonic. This is very easily the most different we've ever styled, at least up to this point. Uh, and we are so deep into the obby bag here in a way that I didn't even fully know, and I knew you were like that this would be your era of the WCW watching, but I mean, what a time.
This is like what was happening like the the first few weeks that I was like falling in love with wrestling.
Wow.
Like this is, yeah, foundational stuff for me. So I already warned John before we started. This is very nostalgia tinted stuff to me. Um, Obviously I can see the the flaws and the faults, but I like this is I started watching. I watched when I was a kid. I watched Hogan. I had the TV tray with the Boss Man and Texas Tornado and Hogan and Ultimate Warrior and all that. I watched when I was a kid. But uh, when it really took, when it was a real thing, started in '97 WCW. Maybe late '96. Uh, no, it would have to be '97 because this was it. Sting was already the Crow. He was in the rafters. I was just flipping the channels and I saw Sting drop down and beat the shit out of the NWO with a baseball bat, and I was like, all right, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. So I'm locked in.
Yeah.
And that's, that actually is relevant to what we're going to talk about because the NWO is going to play an indirect role in the how this thing plays out. And if you don't know what we're talking
Oh.
about, it is the Blood Runs Cold storyline from '96, '97 WCW, the Mortal Kombat division that Eric
Okay.
Bischoff tried to get off the ground,
Yeah.
which is very pro wrestling to jump on something from like 1992 in 1996.
Yes.
I think
Okay.
that's like a perfect time. I think the movie had come out. There was like a TNT uh, TV show that was in development, and everybody I think knows that Eric Bischoff is like a karate mark one
Yes.
and a nakedly capitalist opportunist for two. And so he he sees in this concept a way to blend his love of martial arts and then um, marketing and merchandising and video game money. He sees dollar signs in a Mortal Kombat gimmick in
Yeah.
1996. And the story that I think DDP tells is that they went to some underground pit fighting event in Atlanta, and Bischoff said, I would like to do this, but a family friendly version of this in WCW.
that's 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 such a funny way to look at that stuff. It's like
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch this like illegal, almost like criminal fight to the death underground fighting league, and this rules. Now, what could I do to make it rule, but have it not be any of those things?
And sell it to children.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not sure about that one. I think it was purely. I think Bischoff may have mentioned at some point that like this was something that TNT wanted, but I'm not sure how much I buy that. I think this was his concept, and I don't know if the concept comes first or if the man who is central to this story, Glacier, comes first. But it all starts coming to fruition in like January of '96. The concept is being worked on. Um, how familiar were you with Glacier before we began, John? Because you gave me some new information about Glacier that I didn't even have.
So I had heard of Glacier beforehand. He was just like, I feel like as you go along and learning about all this wrestling stuff and you get deeper into it, there's like names that you just at least know exist because you've just heard them in passing enough. So I had heard of Glacier for a long time. Um, I had known him primarily for three things. One was that he was in WCW at one point, and that was where like he was Glacier. Uh, and this is not going to help the allegations I've gotten from many of our friends, but I know about when he showed up in Chikara one time.
Yeah, he was in the King of Trios in
He was. They
Chikara. I
had him
forgot
with like,
about that.
wasn't he? He was like with Too Cold and someone else, like as a Chili McFree stable or
Yeah,
whatever.
something like that. Yeah.
But I remember they did that. He was in that, and then the other thing I know him for is that he is part of the Nightmare family in AEW. Or he was when that was like a thing. And he like seconded Cody out to the ring for the Nick Aldis match at All In, which was like a deeply important match for me. Uh, Not to again out myself, but I thought that match was really awesome, and I vividly remember Glacier being there and being like, "Who is this tall dude with the blonde hair?" And that is when I let you know too, because I kept up with what he was doing in AEW. He's one of the coaches at the Nightmare Factory with
Yeah.
Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah, I read about that after you told me. I was like tuned out of wrestling when that was happening, so I missed all that. That blew my mind that Glacier made it to AEW.
Dude, he was like a day oneer.
Yeah, that's wild. Okay, I think looking here, I think probably the concept came first because I found a list of guys that were going to be involved in the Blood Runs Cold stable as reported by Wade Keller in the Pro Wrestling Torch in 1996. So this must have
Wow.
been a concept that was floating out there because Glacier is not on this list.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
yeah. So um, it Keller says in '96 that the Blood Runs Cold guys brought in for the this Mortal Kombat division that is going to be created would be Hakushi,
Whoa.
Rob Van Dam,
Okay.
Kama Mustafa, the Godfather,
Okay.
Yoshi Kwan,
Okay.
Pat Tanaka, who is knocking around WCW in this time.
Oh God, he is. Yeah.
Yeah, he actually has a couple matches against Glacier that are pretty sick, and Atom Bomb, who of course
Oh.
does make it in along
Wow.
with Glacier. Uh, so Glacier has like one of the most unique stories I think you can find. He Glacier is a guy by the name of Ray Lloyd, who is a deceptively large gentleman.
Oh, he's
Um,
huge.
yeah, and a great athlete in his youth, football player, and that was his dream was to be a football player. He got involved in full contact karate, which is an
Oh.
important differentiation for someone we're going to talk about later,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
stay in shape for football.
Oh.
And yes, and and also he said he wanted to see if he could take a punch, uh, which I guess he could because he becomes a very skilled and decorated full contact karate fighter, uh, fighting under the auspices of the WKA.
Yo, whoa,
Yes,
whoa.
yes. Um, but when they changed the rules in contact karate to from kicking above the waist to kicking above the knee being allowed, his college football coaches said, "Yeah, that's no more of that for you." So you don't get your knee kicked out. So he grew up in Jacksonville, idolizing Dusty Rhodes, which makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Um, Gets involved in Georgia, Alabama, and North Florida Indies, which also makes sense when we watch these matches later. I will definitely bring that up again.
Yeah.
Spends 9 years floating around there, teaching and coaching football and weekend warrior wrestling.
Okay.
Makes the decision that he wants to be more involved in wrestling, so he moves to Atlanta, which makes a lot of
Oh.
sense, and joins DDP's gym.
Oh, you know what? That'll do it.
DDP kind of a central character in Blood Runs Cold. Actually,
DDP also seems to be like a central character in getting like half of the WCW roster booked at one point because like that was
yeah,
because he was like Bischoff's
he's huge
neighbor,
buddies
right?
with Bischoff. Yeah, him and
Yeah.
Bischoff are like big time buddies.
So he would just go to Bischoff and be like, "Hey, I saw this guy. He's pretty cool. Why don't you sign him?" And Bischoff just would.
Yeah, but that did not happen immediately for Ray Lloyd. He after moving to Atlanta, he spent some time in Japan, um, training with, and not real training. Okay, he went to the UWFI
Right,
for
right.
6 or 7 matches and took some classes while he was there with, he says, Billy Robinson, Luthez, and Gotch.
I mean,
Uh,
that's I just from what I know of how they kind of operated with the UWFI, that he might have actually gotten some stuff out of that because they had Robinson especially was like in the snake pit, like actually
yeah,
training dudes with Miato. Um Gotch is definitely a maybe because I think I even remember up to like the late 80s, early 90s, most of Gotch's training consisted of him having you do squats and then sitting there and watching you do squats. So I can't imagine what he was even willing to do by mid 90s, but
what a sadist.
dude, the photos of him on his like he would make you do it on like his lawn in Florida too. He'd just make you go stand out there in front of where all the cars drive by. He's like, do 10,000 Hindu squats.
I think I would rather get stretched by him than
Yeah.
than have to do it.
Yeah.
Just get it over with. Uh, so he does. He spends some time. He has a match against Kiyoshi Tamura in UWFI
Oh shit.
as
Okay.
Ray Lloyd. But
Wow.
that doesn't really amount to anything other than he says a friendship with Luthez, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But he ends up back in Atlanta, and he mentions to DDP, I've got this character called um, Coach Buzz, which he will do later in WCW, and I want to incorporate like more of my martial arts training into my wrestling when I get this new Coach Buzz Stern character that I'm going to do. And DDP kind of gives him like this half-ass, yeah, that'd be cool if you actually knew karate. And at which point Ray Lloyd informs him, yeah, I'm like I think the only fight he lost in competitive full contact karate was like a DQ.
Wow.
So
Shit.
yeah, I don't know what level he was on, but I mean that's still incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
And at which point DDP like lights up, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta tell Eric about you like immediately." and, so he makes the connection. They meet, they talk. Glacier says he's brought in without Bischoff seeing a single one of his matches or promos, that he spends their entire meeting just grilling him about martial arts to make sure he knows what he's talking about. Um, and he is brought in and sent to the power plant to start working on this Blood Runs Cold storyline that Bischoff has envisioned as a Mortal Kombat, martial arts, something different from everything else on TV. And they invested massively into this concept. This is Bischoff's pet concept. He thinks it's going to be huge. He thinks it's going to make tons of money in merchandising. They actually contact like a Hollywood um, film like special effects studio called AFX Studios, a guy named Andre Freitas who's done a ton of movies and stuff, to create the characters and costumes
Wow.
for Blood Runs Cold.
Dude.
Uh, yeah, like tons of money. So Canyon has said that they did call RVD for this first, and RVD turned them down because of his like previous bad experience in WCW.
Right.
So it ends up being Glacier, and not only are they investing money in the concept, they are investing in these like vignettes that are like have a ton of CGI and are like hyping up the characters. They are they've got the guys who will form the, I say the core of the division, the entire division, because it don't this doesn't last long. Um, at the power plant, training like in karate, in judo, and in wrestling.
Wow.
And I know one name that was mentioned a lot was Paul Orndorff.
What the fuck?
What was there helping with this? That's somebody that Glacier specifically like thanked. But they're there in the power plant. Their goal and their vision is to create a, wait for it, a style that looks very different. That is
Oh,
a melding of karate and uh, wrestling, pro wrestling.
that's like shockingly ambitious for this because I always looked at this from my understanding of it was like just a Mortal Kombat angle. Like that's all I thought of it as, but they were actually trying to like create a whole new kind of wrestling.
Yeah. And they wanted to have it exist within the larger, WCW universe, but be something different that feels different. And we'll talk about it when we get to the matches. Like that is a style and concept that I think should be explored further. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that's
we're gonna talk a lot about that.
yeah. Um, it is ambitious and it's a hell of an idea, and they're working very, very hard at it. Um, Constantly in the PowerPoint, they're spending huge money. They're coming up with names for all these characters, and they're all heavily involved in their own characters. Um, and they're getting ready. The vignettes for Glacier show a guy who looks basically exactly like Sub-Zero. Um, Training in the snow. There is very clear Mortal Kombat ripoff music going on in the background. And they end with the phrase "blood runs cold," which is where the name of the whole deal comes from. Actually, the first "Blood Runs Cold" vignette did not feature Glacier. It was just it looked like a trailer for the Mortal Kombat movie. Um, like it's just a spinning CG, um, vaguely Asian looking like emblem
Right, right.
that's spinning, and it said "Blood Runs Cold," and they start airing those vignettes in April of '96
Wow.
on Nitro, and they say at the end that Glacier will debut in July of 1996. But between April '96 and July '96, um, something happens that puts everything else in the company on hold and
Oh
on
my
the back
god.
burner,
Oh my god.
and effectively kills the more cartoony and like occupation gimmick version of WCW that has existed before towards
Dude,
a more serious, real life based storylines.
I,
And
is this like what I'm is this Hogan?
yeah, this is the
Yeah.
formation of the New World Order at Bash at the Beach '96.
Wow.
Hogan is the third man. Um, and so Eric Bischoff's pet project is no longer his pet project. He
Wow.
could not give a fuck less about it. Along with anything else that's happening in the company. Um,
Understandably so.
yeah, he does not like the vignettes. He thinks they look bad and cheap. Um, he and I think it's Glacier who said he and Cannon were supposed to show up at Bash at the Beach '96, but they got a call and were just told, "Stay home, and we can't tell you why." But
Wow.
so yeah, Bischoff is fully locked in on the NWO. Nothing else matters. Um, they've been hyping this guy for literally 5 months by the time he debuts. Because Glacier finally debuts, this guy they've been hyping, spending insane amounts of money on the concept, the the vignettes, everything. He debuts on September 8th on WCW Pro, which is maybe generous to call that a C show. I think
Wow.
Worldwide was probably the C show at that point.
I was gonna
This
say
is like
Pro
the
was
D show.
probably yeah. Well, oh well, I don't even know because do you put that above Saturday Night?
No, I would say Nitro Saturday Night Worldwide Pro. As someone who was watching it at the time, maybe you could put Pro
Yeah.
above Worldwide.
Well,
In any
and
event,
yeah, regardless, it is like I mean, there's like maybe like two guys watching it.
yeah, and I was one of them.
Yes.
And he debuts September 8th against a gentleman called the Gambler on Pro.
Oh
And
wow.
he also debuts on Pro his absolutely insane entrance. Um, Lights drop, blue laser lights everywhere, blue spotlights in the ring, fake snow falling from the ceiling, Mortal Kombat techno blaring.
Okay. So I was gonna say because you mentioned just earlier about how much they were investing in this, which does really make just accentuate how incredible it is that the second Hogan comes in and they do the third man shit, like they knew they had such good money and that it completely changed the company. They just had to abandon like this, which they've put like hundreds of thousands of dollars into.
Yeah,
Um, but I mean, that money shows in the entrance because the entrance is like it goes to the point of almost being ridiculous, just how over the top and like the deep blue lights, the lasers, like it's the
yeah.
fucking Disney like light show.
He gets in there and
Um,
he's doing katas in
dude, he looks like
the
he's doing a
ring.
fucking interpretive dance because he's doing it to the beat of the music.
Yeah. Well, they, I have seen different numbers for the cost of the entrance, but I do know that every time they did the entrance, they had to have three guys from AFX wherever they were taping.
Wow.
And
Okay.
so there is an estimate that the total amount of money that was spent on these Glacier entrances was like $500,000.
What the fuck?
Glacier has said that Bischoff told him that every time they did that entrance, it was 9 grand.
Wow.
Um, so I don't know how the math adds up there. Eventually they drop it, but it's a long time before they drop it. So they're still pumping the money into this, but they're not pumping any creative effort into this really because
Right.
Glacier debuts. The other guys who we're going to talk about are there at the power plant working on this, working on this new style of martial arts wrestling that they are like actually really like passionate about creating.
Right.
Um, but Glacier just uh, beats up jobbers for literal months uh, before anybody else is introduced. But they are giving him an undefeated gimmick,
Yes.
and they are giving, yeah, they're giving him a major push. And so he wrestles. He wrestles the Gambler. He has a really cool match against Pat Tanaka, and then his Nitro debut is September 16th, 1996. Now this is not a jobber. Uh,
No.
they give him a pros pro, one of the great TV match workers of all time. This is Glacier versus Big Bubba,
Yes, dude.
aka Big Bubba Rogers, the Big Boss Man, Ray Trailer.
The Guardian Angel.
Yes, the Guardian Angel. Um,
Curtis Lewa.
yeah. And so this is the Nitro debut. This is what should have been the debut, right? And this is the first time that most people see the Glacier entrance.
Which you can kind of tell from the way they talk about it, because they do like the way they react to everything that happens in the entrance. It almost feels like they're just pretending that they've never seen it before.
Yeah.
Like, except they do that, and then Shivani in the middle of being like, "Whoa, look at the snow," he'll go like, "And by the way, he's like 2 matches undefeated on pro."
Yeah. They
uh,
that's another thing that you can tell though, like how much they had invested in this, is
yes,
the announcers are like in the bag for this stuff. I mean,
dude, they're locked.
Dusty Rhodes in this feud, uh, especially on Saturday night matches, is making the most outrageous statements of all time, like about
Dude.
Glacier and the universe is watching. He's like one of the best wrestlers in the world because of this style he's invented. Like they are in the bag.
And they're in the bag for the whole angle too, because I will I'll talk a little bit more about this once we get deeper into the pod and we start talking about some of the other guys. But there's another guy that shows up, and like Dusty Rhodes is like, yeah, he's the toughest man in the world. He's the strongest fighter in the entire world. And I'm like, shit, wow,
Yeah.
dude.
And can I tell you, I was buying that. I was watching this and buying it. I thought those guys could destroy. I was like, I'm not scared of the NWO because the Blood Runs Cold guys are gonna kill them,
Yeah,
and it'll be fine.
when they stop fighting each other, it will be time for Glacier and friends to destroy the NWO. Did you think that was like
This is a
was
fantasy
that
booking that needs to be pursued.
we have to rewrite WCW to
Yes.
where Glacier is the Sting and he faces a
Well, he's not Sting here. He's Sub Zero here. So much that we will not see this version of Glacier, I don't think, again in the
No.
3 matches that we've seen. Midway threatened legal action, specifically over the black and blue
Okay.
and the eye paint, right?
I I was gonna mention that because when we get to the next match, he is missing the eye paint. The gear is slightly different, and his theme song has been completely changed to like generic fighter from a temple music.
Yes.
When this one, the one he comes out to for the Big Bubba match, like this is a Jimmy Hart masterpiece. This is up there with Self High Five.
Yes.
Like it is just the most blatant ripoff you have ever heard.
And this story they're telling here for his first match is that there are some wrestlers in the back who are jealous of Glacier and the TV time that he's been getting, the full spread magazine profile about how he moved to Japan as a teenager and trained at some fake Shaolin temple and was a pit fighter and all that stuff, but an honorable one. He doesn't use closed fists. We need to keep that in mind.
Right.
Um,
He's a Pancras guy.
yeah, and Big Bubba is one of the loudest voices in the locker rooms who are jealous of Glacier.
Wow.
Which maybe this is some of the NWO stuff bleeding in because that's definitely something that's taken from real life. There were many people in the locker room who were very pissed that this uh, Georgia indie worker uh, karate guy was getting this basically like Goldberg push.
Oh God, he was. Yeah, this is pre Goldberg too, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So he's like a prototype of what they do with Goldberg.
Yeah. Yes.
And I did also want to mention because you had mentioned the or you sent pictures of like the magazine scans, and I saw something about like the Japan stuff. And this is like, of course, heavily based on Mortal Kombat to the point that Midway threatened a lawsuit, which is I feel like WCW got away with a lot of doing this type of stuff and never got legal action. So it
Yeah.
was, and that shows you how on the nose it was.
Yeah.
But the lore of Glacier, from what I've gleaned, is a lot more like Bloodsport than anything Mortal Kombat.
Yes. And when we get to the actual basis of the feud between Glacier and his enemies, which is maybe a week before the final match of the feud in the magazine again, not on television. Um, it is very blood sport. It is very
Okay.
Southeast Asian pit fighting. Um, you'll get your tongue cut out for saying this person's name in Guam or whatever.
Yeah. I heard one of the people involved, the manager of the enemies, I heard him yell something about Taipei from ringside in
Yes,
one of the
yes.
later
Remember
matches.
Taipei?
Remember Taipei?
That's about as much as you get on TV.
Okay, okay, yeah, but this, I guess that's more about the next match. But this one
yeah.
here is literally just trying to show a whole new TV audience what Glacier's all about. And they do a really good job, because I feel like character wise, I feel like I fully understand Glacier after watching this, which is like mark of a good debut, mark of a good different style fight as well. That like I fully understand what his skill set is, which is that he is like a TV karate guy.
Yes. This is, I think, the closest thing I know, the closest thing to an actual different style fight we get. Stipulation names, you know, regardless. This is the closest thing to a different style fight we get, but it is the American TV wrestling version of a different style fight,
Yes.
which is pure heroin to me.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
loving it. I
yeah.
actually I really enjoyed this match.
Yeah. And I do want to mention too, this is still at the point where they are maintaining the Glacier entrance effects throughout the match.
Like Sin Cara.
Yes, the ring is dark. There are the laser lights everywhere. I'm sure it's more expensive to do it that way, so they cut that out too. Excuse me. But yeah, this is a classic different style fight, just with the king of the 3-minute television match, Ray Traylor, driving the boat.
Yeah,
And
I was gonna say having like Boss Man as his Nitro debut opponent, it's like perfect, because like if there's any guy that's gonna make you look good, it's fucking Big Boss Man, who is massive and is a like great like bruiser and overdog, but also is like amazing at selling for guys.
a bump freak
Yeah, dude,
in his
complete
younger
freak.
days. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it classic different style fight. The wrestler jumps forward, right, and gets taken down.
Mhm.
Uh, he attacks again. He gets taken down. Uh, we sort of skip a lot of of steps in this traditional different style fight because Bubba learns quickly.
Yes.
Glacier throws a kick that he catches and slaps the piss
Dude,
of Glacier.
like slaps the shit out of him.
So even for the American TV version of a different style fight, as we've said, the wrestlers know they have, as you said last week, I think they have license to hit as hard as they can.
Yeah.
And Glacier does this crazy like Enziguri John Woo uh,
Dude.
type thing.
It's so cool because he gets slapped and immediately just pops up, and it is just straight up like a John Woo. Like
Yeah,
Bubba kind of goes pretty far back. And again, we just said a minute ago, Bubba can be a bump freak, and he is bumping like as huge as he needs to get over. Like every single Glacier kick is a killer. Like he is bouncing around the ring. He's getting popped in the jaw and like stumbling back. Like he is like this is a clinic in how to make a guy look like a fucking badass.
yeah. And he still gets some of my favorite Ray Trailer spots in. He ducks a spinning back fist on the apron and drops to the floor and hits that uppercut,
Oh, dude.
which works surprisingly well in a different style fight. Uh, he does the whip into like the jump slam, and he mocks Glacier with the crane pose, and he does a little Abdullah
Dude,
chops.
he actually does like the Abdullah pose, the back and forth.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I
it's
was
for real.
and then he does that, and I was giggling. I'm like, this is awesome. And then the camera like it cuts to a wider angle, and fucking Glacier is getting up in a way I've never seen any human get up
Didn't
before.
know you could.
Yeah, he, he like he like fucking like
He
I
does
don't
a
know how to
split up,
describe it. Yeah, he like gets into like split position from the ground and then lifts himself.
like moonwalks up from a split.
Yes, like Michael Jackson
Yes.
shit, dude.
And hits a move that he loves, which I also love as someone who is playing Mortal Kombat. He presses down and is it yeah low kick, and he does
Yeah.
the sweep spin and
Yes.
and takes him off his feet. I think Bischoff calls it a spinning leg sweep.
Yeah.
Picks him up, knife hands him, grabs his wrist, does a wrist lock, and then he hook kicks him in the back of the head and front kicks him in the face.
Dude, okay, the kick that he does when he's got the wrist just lifts his whole leg over his arm, so like his foot is right in front of Big Bubba's face and just unleashes, like just pops him in the jaw with just swinging the leg like a pendulum. And again, like this is like Power Rangers karate. This is like him doing all of these weird, like wacky kicks and stuff that look so like beyond like this is an angle that could only happen in like the 90s because you go into the 2000s and people already know what UFC is, and if you're trying
Yeah,
to push this guy, and this one specifically, they're pushing him like as a Mortal Kombat guy, so this one have more leeway, but like trying to do any sort of like legitimate martial artist gimmick and then he pulls out something like that, it just wouldn't work like 5 years after this. But here, he can do this shit and it looks awesome.
it looks and like Bubba is one of the great punch sellers. He also sells this kick like so perfectly. And
Yeah.
something is awesome. This is like a WCW and the WWF rule of thumb. If someone hits a move and Bobby Heenan goes, "Doh!"
Yeah.
Someone just got killed.
Yeah.
That's like the genuine Heenan reaction to like someone getting murdered. And then Bubba ducks a kick after he recovers from this, and he does the Mortal Kombat sweep again, and he does the thing that Ukensho did last week, where when Bubba pops his head up, he round kicks him in the face from the ground.
Yes. Oh, it's
It's the
so
exact same thing.
it's so good.
Yeah. Picks him up, hits his finisher, the cryonic kick.
And this is like a spinning cryonic kick. This is the only time I've ever seen him do it this way, and it looks nasty.
They fiddled with it a little. So there's
Yeah.
actually a funny story about that tickled me deeply, where Glacier tells the story of going through the list of character names, and it's kind of like Stone Cold. It's all these puns about ice
Right.
or names related to ice, and the one that Bischoff liked was cryonic. And Glacier said, "You can't do cryonic. That's a verb," which immediately made me think of Kevin Nash saying, look at the adjective, play." Like nobody in WCW passed grammar. But the compromise was we'll call the kick the cryonic kick. If you watch the Gambler match, and I think maybe the Pat Tanaka match too, the cryonic kick is more like the feliner. It's a top rope jumping side kick to the face.
Right.
I guess that really fucking sucked to take. Um, because they very quickly change it to first this version and then just a like side kick to the face.
Yeah, just
I mean, it's
like
still awesome. It still always looks
oh
awesome, but
no, it's great. It's like a great thrust kick.
yeah. And also a killer in the old WCW Nintendo 64 games.
Oh,
Glacier was a
dude.
beast in those games.
You know what?
He did all these silly moves
I've
that he
played
doesn't.
those games with some of my friends. I've never played as Glacier, but I remember getting beaten up by Glacier. So I
Yeah,
agree.
he's like super overpowered in that game.
Yeah.
But he was getting. I mean, he just basically squashed Big Bubba. This is an awesome match though. I love this match so much. This has been one of my favorite TV matches forever and ever.
Yeah, dude, this match was a ton of fun.
And Bischoff describes what Glacier does as a combination of kung fu, taekwondo, and Shotokan karate.
You
Uh,
know, I mean, he's some would
and
say that he's a
blocks.
martial artist of mixed styles, a mixed martial artist.
Yes. And so for the next few months, Glacier is just popping up on mostly Saturday night, but Nitro sometimes, squashing jobbers, working with Pat Tanaka, Orndorff uh, at the power plant. And those guys are ramping up while this happens. But in December of 1996, WCW goes on a tour of Germany, and
Oh.
uh, Glacier begins working a mysterious new character named Mortis
Oh.
in Germany, far away from the TV cameras, in in preparation. And really, you can like all of these matches because of the nature of what they're doing and how different it is. You can tell they're planned to the note.
Right.
So I'm sure they're working on what eventually we will see as their first match. Mortis. You fuck with Mortis?
Dude, I fuck heavy with Mortis. I thought the Mortis gear was awesome when I was like, because I actually knew more about Mortis than Glacier, and I did
Yeah.
not know Mortis was a Glacier related gimmick at first. I just thought it was a cool ass mask gimmick for a cool ass wrestler.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, he looks great. When he comes out, his theme is so awesome. They have, again,
Incredible.
talking about how much they've invested. The presentation of all of this is like down to the T. Like they have it all so well done. Um, like I think Mortis looks awesome, and he has a wonderful little manager who I had no idea was ever associated with Glacier, but what a fucking guy to have as like the mouthpiece as part of this entire angle, like the guy that can actually explain what's going on in some capacity. Like fucking out of the
Yes.
park to pick this guy.
Yes. And when you say in some capacity, we will get to what that means because it
Yeah.
is a very, very low capacity that he's given
Yes.
the opportunity to do this. Mortis. Mortis, I fucking loved Mortis, dude.
Yeah.
For all the reasons you said. He looks incredible. The theme is incredible. Chris Canyon, Mortis has been working at the power plant with Glacier from the beginning. He's brought in very quickly, identified as a guy who will be good for this. He'd been jobbing in WCW and minute work with Mark Starr, but they decided to repackage him. He's been learning karate, working on the style, all the stuff we already talked about. He is ready to go.
Mhm.
Um, he debuts against Glacier on pay-per-view on March 16th, 1997, WCW Uncensored in what is called a martial arts match. We'll talk a lot more about that
Oh, dude.
shortly. Um, and I, this is a storyline that it's like, it's kind of reviled. It's kind of seen as like a wrestle crap thing. The general outline of it is known by a lot of people, but the way that it actually plays out, like match by match, um, I don't think that story is like really out there just to see how hard this is botched. And the first example is this match right here. The idea was they were going to do the vignettes for Mortis like they had done for Glacier to hype him up as the first Glacier opponent, and then they're going to bring another guy in 2 months later and do the same thing. Bischoff was already done with this. He didn't like the Glacier vignettes. They scrapped that. I
Wow.
watched the entire Nitro from the week before uncensored. No mention of this match.
Wow.
WCW Saturday Night that aired the night before this has the debut appearance of Mortis and his manager that you were mentioning, who here is going by James Vandenberg.
Yes.
Many people may know as the Sinister Minister.
Dude,
Father
okay.
James Mitchell.
I just have to pause it for a second. I love Father James Mitchell. He's
Yeah,
like
he's
my one of the earliest things that I got attached to in all this wrestling stuff when I was like it was when the network came out. Cause I was like I had the network like the month it came out. I was like begging my dad. I'm like, listen, I need you to spend $10 a month on me so I can watch Raw from 2007. And he was like, I will do it for you. So he got me the fucking network after they had Hogan coming out on Raw every night going, the network, brother. Fucking uh so I got the network and I start watching old ECW and I like get so attached to the Unholy Alliance because I think Mikey Whipwreck looks awesome.
you want to
And
talk about some of the best TV wrestling stuff ever. That's it.
dude, and fucking they're the coolest shit. Tajiri is like the most interesting wrestler I have seen in my entire life. And they have the Sinister Minister right there. And he is like infectious in how he's like an earworm of a manager. Like he says shit and the way he acts is just stuck in your head for like the rest of the day. And when I saw him come out with Mortis for this match, I like paused it for a second. I was like, "Oh my god, is that the fucking Sinister Minister?" And I mean, he's not so sinister just yet. He's not at full levels of sinister or minister, but
Oh.
you can tell it's the guy. It's the same guy.
See, that's a reason why they never should have killed the network because that's so beautiful. Because I had the same experience just 20 years before you, you know, watching the Sinister Minister and Tajiri and Mikey Whipwreck and the Unholy Alliance, and oh my god, it's so good. Um, but I knew him from this. I
Right,
knew who he
right.
was. This is my first introduction. The name James Vandenberg, according to Canyon, was chosen about 2 minutes before the promo introducing Mortis and his new manager, uh, Kevin Sullivan, who also did not have time for this and hated it, and happened to be the booker of WCW at the time. Told
Wow.
him no Jack Nicholson shit because John and I discovered before the pod that he was in Smoky Mountain doing a Jack Nicholson character from like Witches of Eastwick or something in
Yeah.
Smoky Mountain. No satanic shit, which is very rich coming from Kevin Sullivan.
I was gonna say, out of all the people to say that.
Yeah. And you have 2 minutes. Um, so he just chose the name James Vandenberg. I don't know. Maybe he was like watching Dawson's Creek before this, and
Yeah.
it R.I.P. and it and it stuck with him. But it is a very short and vague promo. I am James Vandenberg. I am a collector of oddities. And I have brought in someone from Glacier's past. And that's about as much detail as we were given. On the Saturday night
Okay.
episode that airs before the debut of Mortis, who has not been seen nor mentioned on WCW television prior to this.
So I will also let the people know that is actually more context in that single promo with those lines. That is more context than what you get in the match we're about to talk about because the commentators just love to say that Mortis is an enemy of Glacier's past and we don't really know what that means.
They give you what you got the night before. Tony says that Mortis has a Phantom of the Opera type appearance,
Yeah, which
and
is
and Dusty says I'd hate to be at any opera where he was at, but he looks incredible. If you haven't seen him, the concept is supposed to be like his skull is showing.
yeah, and I mean again, like amazing gear.
Canyon
The
looks
fucking
so
the
good. He's
he looks
jacked.
so good. He's got the skull like football shoulder pads.
The jester's cane with the skull on
Yes.
it. Um, and he gets that, as you mentioned, like the Frankenstein organ music. And the
Yeah.
announcers, yeah, they tell us James Vandenberg is a collector of unusual things. They mention that and I love this. They say this multiple times in the feud. Mortis is trained in the blood sports,
Yes.
plural blood sports, in the pits of Malaysia. Uh, so that's the one morsel that we get.
Yes.
And like we said, you can see that these are matches. They have the feel of an NXT match that is practiced for a week before this one specifically.
Yes, this one is
The squashes are a lot more brisk, but this is planned out, and there's talking and big pantomiming and all that kind of stuff.
yeah, there's like 3 different moments where like Glacier does like a kick, but it is explicitly to set up an Irish whip, and it definitely feels like that was their agreed on upon cue to start a sequence.
Yeah. It's because it starts with them talking. Mortis spits in his face. Glacier smokes him with a round kick. And I do want to just off top, I'm going to say that a lot. Like, as silly as this stuff can get at times, these guys are beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah,
And
no,
all these kicks are like on the button.
you can really tell that like Glacier is just a straight up like high level karateka. And I will say with Mortis and with the guy we're going to talk about, with both guys we're going to talk about next too, um, Mortis knows how to fucking kick. Like whatever training they were having him do in the power plant, whoever they were bringing him in to teach him karate, like did a pretty good job because he has some kicks, especially in this match.
Yeah.
He has a couple kicks that are like on the money.
Yeah, he actually complained about the karate instructor and said that he was trying to like make them do forms and stuff. He was like, "Bro, yeah, they're doing push-ups and shit." Uh, probably a guy from another guy we're going to talk about school, but
Oh, good point.
yeah, they are doing like Mortis punches him so hard in the ear, and Glacier to
Yes.
no one goes, "My ear."
Dude,
What are you
okay,
talking to,
I
bro?
will say, fucking Ray Lloyd, like, because that's the one thing with Glacier is that Glacier when he is in Glacier mode and he's standing, we didn't even mention it. They have this one shot they have for every single entrance where Glacier gets in the corner and it's like Andre angle, and he like rips off the mouth guard and just screams into the camera. Like, that's the voice of Glacier. That is Glacier, but he gets popped in the ear here, and he literally just goes, "My ear," and I'm like, "That's Ray Lloyd."
That's Georgia high school football coach Ray Lloyd. My ear.
My ear.
Mortis is talking to. He ain't nothing. But as you said, all his kicks are like super nasty looking.
Yeah.
And like this is sort of when the match kicks in and we get an idea of this different style of wrestling that they have been attempting to work on because Mortis is really like the perfection of that. He's the guy
Right.
who just fucking gets it and goes for it. And he's incredibly creative. And
Yes.
everything he does looks so nasty. And he finds new ways to kill people and like take wild bumps. He's
Yeah.
flying around. It's awesome. He's
Because
strong as shit. He's huge.
that was the thing with Mortis too. Is the thing I have always heard about Mortis and just Canyon in general is that he did like so much shit that like nobody else was doing at the time, and guys are still like like rediscovering Mortis movements just because he was doing a wrestling that like, and it probably came from being in this angle.
Yeah.
That like is because so much of the stuff these guys do in these matches feels so fresh and like not anything that you saw at the time or after that. Because like, I mean, Mortis is like a buckshot lariat in this
Yeah, he
match.
does. And I think he's the innovator of that. And a lot of people know he's the innovator of a lot of stuff. But he
Yes.
hits a lot of future finishers.
Yeah.
As Mortis, his offense is almost entirely composed of moves that other guys will go, that's a fucking finisher.
Yeah.
So, there's a moment where uh, he he sits down on the apron and Glacier like springboard kicks him and he does this crazy bump into the guardrail.
Yes.
And Glacier does a plancha. That's another thing. Oh, I totally forgot with the WCW magazine. I know I screenshotted this somewhere. the way that he is describing his own style in uh, in WCW is so crazy. It's like part Great Muda. Fuck. I'll have to look it up. I'll tweet it out. It's so
Oh,
funny.
it was like Muda and oh fuck, because you showed it to me,
Yeah,
and I gotta find it because it
it's
was
so,
like
it's so funny. But he does a plancha while you're looking for that
yeah, yeah.
to show that part of it, um, which is crazy. But then they get out on the apron, and Tony says Mortis is using many different styles here, which I
Yes, he
appreciate.
does.
He does like as you said, a buckshot lariat. You know, the famous blood sport move, the buckshot lariat.
Yes.
He cuts off Glacier's comeback with a famouser.
Okay. I also was gonna. I have that written down that Mortis, after doing a lot of and I've been trying to think of a word for it, and I don't even know this isn't even a word or phrase, but if you've ever been to like one of those stunt shows at like Disney or fucking Universal, this is like a more intense version of like a fight scene from one of those stunt shows. This is what the style feels like. Uh and Glacier has been doing all this karate, and then Mortis just hits him with a famous.
And he
Also,
tries to hit
I
another one.
he does. He does. I was gonna say though, I found the thing. It was part
Yes.
Great Muda, part Meng, part Eddie Guerrero.
Yes. Hey, I can't say that. I love Glacier. I can't say it.
I
He
can't
tries to
say
go
it.
for another famouser, and it gets reversed into a power bomb.
Oh, dude, he like kills him with it
Yeah,
too.
he kills him. I watched a squash match where he also killed a jobber with a fucking power bomb.
Oh,
He does a, and this is going to be a theme too. He does this in a lot of matches moving forward. He does like a roll, and he
yeah.
pops up and hits a back elbow, but it actually looks like he uses the momentum of the roll like it's really quick and springy. It's not
Yes.
like a Swerve Strickland like traversing the 3D RPG roll.
Okay, I was gonna say too, because that like the roll into moves thing is a trend that got really popular in like 2018 to 2020, because that was when like Mustafa Ali was one of the like big early ones to do it, and that led into Shane and a few other guys who were all either in like 205 Live or COVID NXT who all start doing it, and the guys on the indies, because that was the thing, is like it started in the Fed and bled to the indies. I
Yeah.
saw it like more there. And there's still guys doing like fucking that Nathan Frazier dude. I saw him do a front roll into a suplex recently,
Oh my
and
god.
it's all of it sucks. But here's Glacier, like 20 years, no, like almost 30 years
Yeah.
ahead of time, doing the only good one I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's like whipping through them and popping up and nailing people.
Yeah.
And I know, look, I don't want to get on here and go through matches move by move generally, but like these are like choreographed fights. So
Yeah.
you got to talk about some, because it's insane ideas that these guys are
Yes.
doing. And we haven't even mentioned yet. Well, we did, but we didn't come back to it. This is billed as a martial arts match.
Yes, they put a big graphic on the screen that says WCW Martial Arts Match. Now, I did want to ask you, um, does that mean anything? Because they don't really explain what that means after the fact unless I missed it, and it has no bearing on what happens in the match. Did they just like say that?
Yes, they just called this a martial arts match. So
That's
again, it's
awesome.
another sign of how like half-assed
Yeah.
they are already when they've just introduced the second character
Yeah.
while they're pushing Glacier to the moon. Tony says a couple times it's a martial arts match, but he has no idea what that means. He says you can
Yes.
win by pinfall or submission or knockout. Okay, so it's a match. We got it. It's a wrestling
Yes.
match. And it is, but I do think one of the things that they get right in terms of the presentation is they do hammer really hard on like these guys are melding multiple styles of stuff, and it's awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe I also feel this way because of where we are, as in this what podcast this is. But like, how much they put an effort into saying that these guys are like different from everything else going on, because
Yeah,
they do kind of hammer that point home too, that this is a wrestling you're not going to see anywhere else on the card. Like, it really does feel like something unique that's being marketed here, and I really appreciate that, because this is like something that I've never seen anything else exactly like it. And I'm sure at the time, and again, you were there at the time, so you can
yeah,
tell me, but like, this feels just totally detached from like everything else, and they hammer home that it
yeah.
is.
It is, and and it's not just with the presentation, like aesthetically. The style is
Yeah.
different, and to me at 12, I thought Mortis was like the most badass wrestler of all time.
Yeah.
Like the shit he was getting up to. He throws a shin kick or a round kick to Glacier's face that is like all shin. Take like a gunshot.
Yeah.
Uh, he gets superplexed after he gets crotched, which is
Yeah.
another that is another Mortis thing. I don't know what it is. Mortis loved to find new ways to hurt his balls. Uh, we'll have another instance in a later match where he sells a nut shot. But
Yes.
when we get to the further reading section, I'll talk about another crazy Mortis gets hit in the balls spot. That was one he just absolutely loved. Um, but Mortis pulls the ref in front of him while Glacier's going for a side kick. Vandenberg jumps up, holding Glacier. He ducks. He hits the cryonic kick. 1, 2, 3. Glacier wins, which that's awesome that you're
Yeah.
super pushing this guy. But Mortis has just debuted with a clean 1, 2, 3 loss in the middle of the ring.
Yeah. And it's even weirder that they chose to do that, considering what they do immediately after, because you could have just not had it ended clean if you were planning to do this anyways.
Yes, and right. So our only introduction to Mortis was the very low number of people who were watching Saturday night, and then this pay-per-view match. He was supposed to get the vignettes, the same type of build to a match, and then they were going to wait 2 months later to bring out the next Blood Runs Cold guy. Instead, and I do want to say the crowd is pretty hot. Like they enjoyed that match. They liked that
Yes.
match.
Yeah.
They're cheering. The crowd is hot. Uh, James Vandenberg runs to the aisle and starts motioning to someone, and a massive, massive man in a really fucking cool like samurai helmet mask thing
Dude.
begins marching to the ring and beats the hell out of Glacier and hits him with one of my favorite moves, one that will come to be called the death penalty, but it's like a fucking crazy ass Uranagi.
Yeah, it's like the like the standing choke that fucking I don't remember who did that, but like some guy. Oh, it's like the thing Braun Strowman would do, which,
Yes.
yeah, it's like that, but then turned into like a rock bottom, like
Yeah.
full on, like almost like high leverage plan, because he gets him up there. And again, Glacier is not like a small guy; he's pretty big. And I mean, fucking this man, this figure, just not only like dwarfs him, but like plants him.
Kills him. And they're playing up. He's unnamed. Okay. And this is, what did we say, March 16th? This is a Steve Austin day. Yes, March 16th.
Yes.
They are playing. He takes off the helmet. Heenan says, "I've never seen this man in my life," which he totally forgot about his last year in the WWF, because this is Brian Clark or Adam Bomb, the
Yes.
one the one name that Keller had right in the torch in the previous year. And he is also under the direction of James Vandenberg, uh, and they leave Glacier laying, and we've got sort of the formal beginning of the Blood Runs Cold feud.
Yes.
Um, And again, you there are people who have talked a little bit about this. There's been a few things written about this. It's generally remembered either fondly or like people hate it. But the if you're just watching Nitro and the pay-per-views, this inscrutable story becomes even more inscrutable. But because I love this podcast and this stuff, watched basically every televised match of this feud to try to figure out when and if anything happened.
Right.
So a month later, nothing till then. On WCW Saturday Night, April 19th, Glacier is fighting another karate man who would have made a lot of sense in this storyline had it continued, Jerry Flynn,
Yes.
who we will certainly talk about in the future.
I'll pull back the curtain right now and at least
Yeah.
say that the original plan was to have a Jerry Flynn match in this, but then we started talking about it, and I could just tell from the way Albie was talking. I'm like, we have to do a Blood Runs Cold like full analysis because
Yeah.
this is the Albie zone. We can't detour on this shit.
Yeah. And we will talk about him more in more places than WCW
Yeah,
and in some awesome stuff. But I mean, he's not really connected with this. He's not part of the proposed division. He's just a guy that got in because of somebody he knew. Probably
yeah.
DDP, because I forgot to mention that Mortis also got in to this storyline because he was friends with DDP. Because news.
Again, as I said earlier, it seems like DDP is the reason half the WCW roster is booked.
Yeah. So that match is awesome. Glacier beats Jerry Flynn, obviously, and Mortis and the unnamed man who looks a lot like Atom Bomb come out and attempt to steal the helmet that Glacier wears during his entrance. But he runs them off.
Right.
But now we've established they want this helmet.
Yeah.
On Nitro, 2 nights later, Glacier has an attack against, a match against yet another awesome guy, Cyclope.
Oh wow.
Yes, the Luchador Halloween.
I mean, what if we had this guy in the
One of the
ankle?
greats.
What
His
if we
gear
got
would fit.
what if we got Cyclope to go to the power plant and learn karate?
And well, see, that's an interesting thing about this that we will see as we go through is that once this is moved to the back burner and it's clear it's going to be like a lower card feud, the various people involved in the feud are working the luchadors a lot,
Hey,
and
okay,
so
I
the
did see
TV matches
Glacier is
are
constantly working them.
fucking awesome. Yeah,
Yeah, dude.
I mean they're like 30 seconds, but they're awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, the our friends come out again, and during this match, I do want to point out too there are loud Glacier sucks chants, which is kind of
Oh,
shocking if you watch the pay per view the month before. Uh, this time they do steal the helmet and they try to injure Glacier's eye. Maybe they were going to try to put the the eye makeup back on again. Or
yeah. Give him like a kayfabe excuse to wear it so they can get
yes,
around the lawsuit.
yes. And there will be an immediately apparent pattern here, right? But on the May 5th Nitro, Glacier squashes Lismark Jr.
Oh,
And he is jumped by Canyon again.
oh,
But this time, and it's barely mentioned, when he fights back, he throws a closed fist.
oh! That explains a lot about a talking point in the next match.
Yes. Which is, hey, that's a good character beat for this guy, considering how you've set him up. Barely mentioned.
Oh,
Mentioned, but not. And shockingly, the guy from the Georgia Indies has great punches.
yeah, dude, fucking mind blowing.
And James Vandenberg is there again, and he has the helmet is now on the jester staff.
Oh,
On the May 12th Nitro, so 2 months since the debut of the unnamed man, he gets his first WCW match. and he gets named. James
Oh,
Vandenberg does the awesome Nitro thing where he comes out down the ramp to the camera, the Booker T thing, and
yes.
speaks to the camera. And he names this man Wrath.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah. Not a lot of interesting backstory on Wrath, Atom Bomb, whatever. He was a really, I think, underrated and cool wrestler who had been in the WWF and was waiting out his contract in WCW. And I think they thought because of his athleticism that he would be a good, and his size, that he would be a good fit for this. And his
Right,
look.
right.
And his fatal flaw is that he sounds like me. So you can't have him cutting like monster promos. So I'm right. So he's got to have he makes sense in this storyline, and he's awesome.
I will say it is really funny that the entire thing with this storyline is they can't have any of them talk because because fucking Glacier and Wrath both have like a deeply southern accent,
Yeah,
and then Mortis is like the most New Jersey person you have ever
yeah.
heard.
Mortis is he's from Queens.
Dude, straight up.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, it works better when they don't talk. So 6 days later at Slamboree, we get a rematch of Glacier versus Mortis, with the bill being they've stolen the helmet and they keep jumping Glacier and beating him up. I We did not pick this match for the episode, but you should absolutely watch it bell to bell. It's like a minute long
Yeah.
because Wrath comes in and causes the DQ, but they give Glacier an unholy beating.
Hey,
And
too.
the
Okay.
minute, yeah,
Yeah.
the minute of in ring action is also insane.
I did actually watch this one on my own like days ago whenever you said that we weren't going to do this one after all because I also knew what happened after the match and I wanted to see that. Um, but like they do like it's some cool action and then the post match is just them like trying to execute Glacier.
Yes, every time. And that's been the build, and that will continue to be it. That is like the creative thought being given to this. We've got three guys now. We I guess we can break out the fourth guy. Everything is on like a very accelerated timetable.
Mhm.
Um, we get our, the progression in the angle like that we're gonna get ever. After the match, a man runs in from the crowd and absolutely murders Wrath and Mortis with some of the most insane karate kicks in the history of the universe.
Yes.
And the like he these are like jump spin round kick lariats
Yeah,
to
no,
the
he like
chin.
he gets Mortis with one and Mortis sells it like it's a lariat.
Yeah. And he said that Wrath and Mortis made him a wealthy man in that moment.
Yeah.
He shouted them out in public. I owe my career
Yeah.
to Wrath and Mortis. The announcers eventually remember, I guess, that this is Ernest the Cat Miller.
I will say the way they set it up too, because I actually really like this announcer team they got because who it's
Oh, it's a great.
Shivani and Heenan and then who's the third guy? Because I
It's
remember the
either
third guy. I
Tanay
think
or
he.
Dusty Rhodes.
I don't think it's either of them. I think it on the pay per view it's someone else. I know Tanay is going to
Maybe it's
be in
Zabisco. It's
the.
Zabisco,
Oh, Zabisco,
right?
yeah, dude. He's
Yeah,
all. I think it is
yeah,
because he's the one that like they're like trying to figure out who it is, and Zabisco like halfway into them going,
yeah.
"There's a fan in the ring. There's a fan." He's like, "Wait a minute, wait, I recognize." And they like actually hype him up because they're like, "That's Ernest Miller. That's a world karate champion. That's
Yeah,
one of the
that's a
toughest men in the world."
three-time world karate champion Ernest Miller. I think Larry calls him Ernie Miller.
Yeah,
And they briefly mention we've seen him on Worldwide.
yeah,
So this is his like major show debut showing up. They pretend they don't know who he is. They do mention later in the feud that he had one match on Worldwide. So you will see the last match we're going to talk about widely talked about as his debut. It was
yes.
not. He wrestled a match in February uh, on Worldwide against Glacier,
Wow. Okay.
and it aired in April.
Wow.
So before this has happened, he's been on TV once, losing to Glacier. Clearly not like anything they gave a lot of forethought to because it's not a part of the story.
No,
They go
no.
out of their way to not mention that he lost to Glacier.
Right.
But
Yeah. They they
certainly,
they could have wrapped it in like, oh, this is a in Glacier's path to glory, he faces another martial artist of
yeah,
great acting. But no, they legitimately just don't mention it at all, I
yeah.
guess.
But it is cool. Like the security's in the ring. Ernest Miller looks like a killer. The crowd is going nuts.
Yes, they do. Well, I mean, how can they not? Because
Yeah.
Ernest Miller comes in and legitimately, like I've said that they are great kicks. That Glacier, of course, you can tell he's an actual karate fighter. Mortis shows way more ability in this kicking game than he should have any right. Wrath, we're going to see, is actually kind of a good kicker himself, even if he's not like doing like the more like high kicks. He throws like middle kicks with like so much force. But these guys are like they're playing pretend compared to what Ernest Miller is doing. He comes in and nails all of those guys with like the craziest spin kicks you have ever seen.
And like it looks like a movie. Perfect. And then he hits poses after, security's
He
after him.
does.
Yeah. They figure out it's Ernest Miller. So finally, after a month of beatdowns, Glacier has a friend. And
Yes.
this is it for the Blood Runs Cold division of WCW. It ends up being these four guys. Ernest Miller, as they say, self-proclaimed three-time world karate champion. I tried really hard to track this down. And I know he was the ISKA kickboxing champion. That's verified.
Yes. Yes.
I don't think Ernest Miller is lying per se.
Right.
I think it's more of a lie of omission because
Right.
I believe him that he was the three-time point karate champion in ISKA.
Yeah, no, I believe that. Again, we have enough to know that the ISKA stuff is not
Yeah.
untrue.
But you can't find information on that anywhere. And if you are not familiar with point karate, it's a very different beast from what Ray Lloyd was doing in full contact karate.
Hmm.
I mean, you still have to be a super badass, and Ernest Miller is a super badass.
Yes.
He plays like an all-American linebacker at Savannah State. He's been a black belt since he was like 11. Tons of Battle of Atlanta titles, including like into his 60s.
Hmm.
Uh, sparring titles, but it does make sense that his because his kicks are, and I watched all these. People shit on Ernest Miller. I kind of get it, but I also kind of think they're nerds. But his kicks are like the most accurate and perfectly timed kicks of all time to me. Like
Yeah.
everything he hits is like exactly where it was intended and like perfect form and hard as fuck. And like the timing is just nuts. Which
Yeah.
to me that's like an asset you would gain from doing point karate and trying to like score quickly. You have to be like
Yeah.
really accurate.
I was gonna say that's like exactly what would be practiced there.
Yeah. So he and I think most people know the story of Ernest Miller. He was like Garrett Bischoff's karate instructor,
Yes.
given a cush job because he was good to the kid. He tells a story about how he like sparred Eric Bischoff and like in front of his kid and like didn't humiliate him, but like showed that he could have humiliated him. And
Right.
so he was like appreciative for that. He has also been at the power plant working with these guys. He is obviously the rawest of all of them. I mean, he's a month into the business in that worldwide match. He's about 5 months into the business here, training almost exclusively with the guys involved in this storyline. So, uh, moving forward, we have this very clearly delineated and obvious match
Yes.
of Glacier and Ernest Miller versus uh, Wrath and Mortis.
And I
Um,
think going into this, just to pop in, I think they like because they build no, they don't, because this is the match that we're about to watch. I think that is the one that they say is his debut. So like after this is when they start having Glacier and Ernest as like a team. So they're
yeah,
facing like high voltage and shit.
yes,
And I did watch some of those matches just on my own earlier this week too. And
they
those
rip.
they're so awesome.
Yeah, they rip, dude. Um, and that's like, again, this is like poorly remembered, but we got some crazy ass, like super fun matches out of this. Uh,
Yes.
so nothing here. They're the various people in the feud are squashing people still until June 2nd, 1997. Glacier versus Alex Wright. Another awesome match. Vandenberg comes out with the helmet. They beat him up again, right? That's like that is the thing that is happening in this feud.
It's
After like
happened.
every TV Glacier match, he gets beat up by Wrath and Mortis.
It sounds like it's happened a lot.
It's happened about 6 times so far. But this one is funny because Alex Wright wants to join in and also help them beat up Glacier, but he does the very funny thing where he's holding Glacier and Mortis delivers a biblical sidekick to to Alex Wright, uh, and it's we're continuing down the road. No, nothing still about any backstory other than these are guys from Glacier's past, and Ernest Miller is his friend.
Right.
That's all we know about that too. We don't. Apparently, they have no connection other than karate. Because the Glacier backstory is like his everyone in his family were cops except him, and they were like mad at him for not being a cop and going and being like a pit fighter.
I think they do mention that during the Mortis match because I remember there was just a passing mention of like, oh, his dad was a cop, but he wanted to do karate, so
Yeah, but in the July '97 issue of WCW magazine, which of course came out in June, so here's where we are in the timeline. The
right.
writers of the WCW magazine concoct more of a coherent and awesome story than this build to this point remotely deserves. And there is a like 3-page article, and it's called "Meet the Warriors of Questionable Virtue."
What? That's so sick.
So forever now on, when I talk about Wrath and Mortis, in my mind, they're going to be the Warriors of Questionable Virtue, and they just
That's what we are.
yes, they just do a they take the skeleton of what creative came up with and forgot about while they booked Dennis Rodman and Hulk Hogan versus Lex Luger and the Giant. And they write this article. They tell us that James Vandenberg is a collector of curious oddities who became the director of the Museum of Medical Abnormalities in Taipei.
Oh, wow. So he's like a Barnum circus kind of thing, or
Yeah, I guess,
like
like, but an evil version.
right as opposed to
I
the
see, yeah, a cartoonish. I can't even say cartoonishly evil. A satanic version.
right.
Which is funny. As an aside, Canyon says that he was like a shoot Satanist, but then he's quick to explain that that's just a libertarian. But that's not what he says. But that's how he explains it. While he's in Taipei, he hears tell of this former pro wrestler who was shackled by the rules and limitations of various governing bodies and became a feared pit fighter across Southeast Asia, including Burma, where
Oh,
even whispering Mortis's name could get a man's tongue cut off, Hanoi, where he defeated the legendary Sun Tai and won a $750,000 cash prize for that, Kuala Lumpur, where he participated in the ancient art of Yi Zong, or human cockfighting, and, and was proclaimed by a, and this is their misspelling, right? Confusist priest. Swear to God, it says that. You can look it up. To be a grand master of the forbidden art of Kampur. That is Mortis.
Holy shit.
Isn't that sick, dude?
Dude, they and they don't say that on TV at all.
Not at all.
Dude, and on TV he's just the skull guy, and like the
Yeah,
skull guy's really sick. He's got the skulls, but like in the magazine, they're like, yeah, this guy has dominated the Asian pit fighting world. He's like a grandmaster in this martial art, dude. That's not, and that's a magazine angle.
yeah. I guarantee they came up with all that.
Yeah, no, there's no,
Right? Like they just filled it in, and it was insane.
they were probably like told like we want you to just do a couple pages on the blood runs cold shit and just and they probably asked like, well, what do you want to say? It's like, ah, fuck, we don't care. Like Bischoff doesn't like this anymore, right? Whatever you want. So like, okay, shit.
Yeah. So after he's killed every other pit fighter in Southeast Asia, and there's no more hills left to climb for Mortis, uh, he he hears that his old nemesis Glacier has perfected the style of martial arts wrestling in WCW.
Wow.
And they have a great Mortis quote in here. He said, "We all have skeletons in our closet. I am Glacier's."
Wow. That's so awesome.
And they go on to explain, which is never done on television,
No.
that the helmet was their master's helmet.
They got the same master.
They got the same master, bro.
Ah, it's like Karate Kid.
And that Glacier cannot have the world finding out what he did to get this helmet.
Oh, boss, yeah, kumite, kumite.
That he stole it from Mortis, and that they're going to get it back.
Wow,
Yeah.
dude. So okay, I know I just said this for the whole Mortis lore, but they're stealing the helmet on the TV, and the announcers are just like, "Oh, he took the helmet. That helmet means a lot to Glacier." Like, and then the magazine is like actually explaining what the helmet is. They don't. I don't think they mentioned the master thing once on TV
No,
either.
they
Like,
don't.
that's
They might say it's his master's helmet once at the very like while he's squashing people, not even
wow.
like during the feud. And then Wrath, they don't really give him a backstory. They
Yeah,
just
he's
say like,
one of the
uh,
oddities.
yeah. Vandenberg says, let's just say he's on a need to know basis, and right now all you need to know is that Wrath shares a common goal with Mortis and myself: the total destruction of that slow moving block of ice known as Glacier.
I can't even lie. I do rock with that. They give enough of the lore of like this is why Mortis has beef with him, and then it's like, well, Wrath, you don't need to know about Wrath just yet. It does kind of read, and I'll say this after we talk about the match too. I'm sure I will, but it really does read like they actually had more to do with all of
Yeah.
this. Like they had more people to bring in, and they had more angle to like go through, and you know especially after the tag, it really feels like they have a division like made. So the fact that they find this whole year has been spent trying to build the division to where it actually feels like something, and then they finally build it, and then it's just immediately given up on.
Yeah. And then there is also something very funny at the end of where we get some more maybe shoot stuff creeping in, where Mortis says that, or Vandenberg says that it makes him want to vomit every time Glacier comes out to the ring. He like shits on his entrance. The snow is falling. He's got lasers. He has 3 minutes introduction. Yet Mortis, the master of the forbidden blood sports, is lucky to get any TV time at all.
uh, oh shit.
So this I is the, I guess, canon version of what is happening here, which again you have to have been taking the WCW magazine in 1997 to get this information.
Wow.
But at least we know what the helmet was about, and they have the same master, right? So the next match in the feud is the one that makes sense. It's a Glacier versus Wrath match from June 15th, 97. This is an okay match. It could have been shorter, but it's still cool. It's still got a lot of cool spots in it, like the rest of these. It's just a little too long. Um, Mortis is handcuffed at ringside for some reason that is not also not explained. Uh, but he manages to throw a chair in the ring. Glacier uses it. I think he hits a cryonic kick because they call it, but the camera cuts away from the finish for some reason, um, to show Vandenberg standing at ringside. And when we come back, he has won the match, but he is now handcuffed and they are beating his ass. And they
Wow.
mention again in passing, Glacier has now resorted to using closed fists.
Wow.
The next night on Nitro, another sick ass match in this feud, the rematch of Glacier versus Mortis from the 6/16/97 Nitro. I know you watched this one too.
Yes.
Awesome match.
Awesome.
Guess what
Awesome
happens,
match. What
listener?
happens?
Because John knows. Guess what happens at the end of Glacier versus Mortis?
You've been setting me up so well, I forgot.
Yeah.
I was like, what happens?
Yes. Wrath runs out. They're beating the shit out of Glacier. Miller saves him again and looks awesome
Yes.
again. And Larry Zabisco, I don't know where he was the couple weeks before. Larry Zabisco makes the observation that these guys, they go well together.
Okay, because that was like the funniest fucking thing watching it. Because and you said it earlier whenever Ernest Miller first made the save after the other pay-per-view match. You're like, Glacier has a friend. This whole match, like, they just keep saying on commentary, Glacier's a strong fighter. He contends well against Mortis. He just doesn't have any friends. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, why do you keep saying that Glacier has no friends? Like, is there no other way to say? But they just keep saying, like, he'd be doing better if he had a friend. And then Ernest Miller comes out, and I think they
Wouldn't we
do
all?
say, well, he's found his friend.
A month after we already did that,
Yeah.
on pay per view.
Yeah, on pay-per-view. But
Um,
now Glacier's finally not a friendless ninja loser.
so the very obvious tag match is set for Bash at the Beach in on July 13th. Um, but we get some very good again. I'm this is probably going to be like the longest episode of all time. I'm still going so in
No,
detail on Blood Rose Bowl.
it's
I'm sorry.
I'm loving it. I'm
Yeah.
loving it.
Um, we get what is called Ernest Miller's debut match, June 23rd, 97. Glacier and Ernest Miller versus the Power Plant Steroid Freaks High Voltage, Kitty Chaos,
Yes.
and Robbie Rage. Sick match. I mean,
Yes,
sick
that match
tag
is so
team.
sick.
This match is sick, but also sick tag team.
Yeah, they fucking, and Glacier and Mortis come out, and they come out to the Glacier entrance. Or not Glacier Mortis, Glacier and Miller. But they
Yeah,
come out, and Glacier's doing the entrance, and Miller is just right next to him, also doing the motions.
it's awesome.
It's so
They
good.
we get the first ever feliner in
And
WCW.
what a feliner it is.
I cannot overemphasize how every Ernest Miller kick is just lethal as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, shocker of shockers, Mortis and Wrath run out, but this time they stop short of the ring because there are two men in the ring. So again, I guess another minor story beat here. They're scared of the 2-on-2.
Yes.
And this is sort of a trend too. Like they take turns working the same guys for a couple weeks, which I'm sure that just means those guys were all down there at the power plant with them, working through these things.
Yeah.
Because now it's Mortis and Wrath's turn against the high voltage,
Hmm.
uh, and this is also awesome. But this time, it is Ernest Miller and Glacier who interfere. Glacier distracts the ref. Ernest Miller runs in. Mortis has Robbie Rage up for a fall away slam, and Ernest Miller again, like impeccable timing and precision, nails him with a feliner while he's got Robbie Rage on his shoulders. And I've watched this so many times, and I still haven't quite figured out how Mortis does this. It ends with him like sort of tossing Robbie Rage in the air, and Robbie Rage lands on his face like full force. It's crazy, and they lose. Mortis and Wrath lose to High Voltage.
Wow.
Okay. July 7th, 97. Glacier and the Cat versus Psychosis and Silver King.
What the fuck?
Yes.
That's so crazy.
Another short but awesome match with a mandatory run in. But kind of like the Alex Wright twist, the twist on this one is that as the Blood Runs Cold guys are brawling, Psychosis and Silver King hit them with like completely nut ass dives. And then we go to commercial, and when we come back, it's some NWO stuff.
Yeah.
And then one more, I guess, for old time's sake. The Saturday night before the pay per view, Glacier and Ernest Miller versus Scott and Steve Armstrong. Of course, there's interference. Again, Glacier and Ernest Miller are the kings of the hill. Going into the opening match of Bash at the Beach, July 13th, 97. Glacier and Ernest Miller versus Wrath and Mortis.
I mean, this is, you said it before, the second Ernest Miller was introduced, like, this was very obviously where it was going. Um, and I will say, so we talked before about the last match, and the crowd did definitely get into it. The one thing I was going to say, though, is that there are definitely points during the match where they are not so into it.
Oh, the singles.
Yeah, there are some
Yeah,
points where they're
yeah,
very, very
for sure.
quiet, very like even when like cool spots are happening, they're just not paying attention much. But when like the big finish happens, they get pulled back in and they fuck with
Yep.
Wrath. This match, however, dude, the Bash of the Beach crowd is so into this angle because they are so like paying attention and vocal for every single thing these guys do.
Yeah, it's a super hot crowd for this, which I'm glad because as we've alluded to, this is going to be pretty much it.
Yeah.
It feels like we're just getting ramped up, but this is going to be it. But I love this match. This is like a big time favorite of mine to like show people. Um, and I think I can say on this one, this is not like nostalgia glasses. This is a wild ass fucking pay per view opener.
Yeah, no, that also probably is part of it that this is the first match of the pay per view, so they were going to be like ready to get into anything. And this is a great match to start it because, like, you know, we talked before about Glacier being like a southern guy. Like you can kind of feel it in the way that he deals with like a lot of the
Yeah.
like tag back and forth stuff. He is so great at shifting the momentum. And Mortis and Wrath are really good overdogs. And Ernest Miller, I mean, come the fuck on, man. It's just I don't care what anyone says about him. He is so cool in this match. Um, this is just four guys that are really fucking cool going out there and spending less than 10 minutes just having a really nicely worked like it has a southern tag feeling to it in like the formatting, but they're doing that like the hybrid martial arts wrestling that they have spent an actual year figuring out how to do. And you can tell because this feels like a fully formed style at this point.
It's so sick, man. And like you're exactly right. I don't I even now, like people should go back and steal this shit, as we were saying.
Yeah.
They're doing stuff and working it into, like as you said, a perfect Southern tag formula, and they're hitting all the beats while they are I don't know if this is exactly just what you said, but in, like this incredible style, like Wrath looks crazy. He's doing tilt-a-whirl backbreakers. He does like a rope walk, elbow drop on the middle rope. He does a fucking senton off the apron,
Yeah.
and
And
yeah,
it
Ernest Miller is doing like the most precise kicks ever.
like I mean, this is of course, kind of a cap for the storyline, but in the way this match is like structured and the way they like just the shit they do, it feels almost akin to like when WCW was first bringing in a lot of the luchadors and they just threw a couple of them together and put them in a tag. And
Yeah,
it was like, here's
go
just
for it.
a good introduction. Let them go for it. Here's a good introduction to what we're about to be doing going forward. This match feels like it's like showing a hot crowd. We have a new division that we've got figured out. Here's the guys in it. Here, let's watch them go crazy. Which is why it is so like mind-boggling that like there is no division after this. This is with this storyline ending, like this is kind of like it. Like I went looking on Cage Match and fucking Glacier wrestles Mortis like 2 more times in 97 after this. There's like one more. They do this tag again on like Saturday night.
Yes.
And that seems to be the last time this storyline ever exists. Every time they face off after, it's like on a house show or in a battle royal or something.
Yeah. There's no so, and even that Saturday night match that's like a month after this, maybe. Like the announcers kind of mention like during the intros, oh yeah, these guys are like enemies.
Yeah.
Like they know each other kind of. But that's like it. But that shockingly, that's also a super sick match. It's like the
Yeah.
condensed version of this.
Yeah, that match is
They
awesome.
they actually do it again um like early 98
Really?
and Glacier turns on Ernest Miller.
Really? Okay, so I did not know that.
And that is also never resolved.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, but this is a super sick match that like everybody should go watch. There's tons of crazy spots. Uh, I think this is the one where does he get or Canyon does Mortis get crotched again?
Yeah, so he does get crotch, but so he takes like multiple like cock based
Yeah.
offense. He like there's really early into the match, Glacier like double legs Mortis and just punches him. And
Yeah.
the announcers do make a note again, which is why I was thrown off so hard, is because they make note of the punches, and I was like, oh, is that like a thing?
Well, and
But they
Tanay says it. I've wanted to mention that too. Tanay says it like this is a new development.
he does,
Like this is
yes.
the first time he's done it.
Yeah, but that leads into like a little corner thing where like Mortis runs at Glacier, Glacier pops him up, and pop him up like he's gonna go on the apron, but he pops him up so he can land on his balls on the top rope,
Yeah.
and then fucking Glacier hits a head kick from that position.
Dude, is that the one? It may not be. I'm getting these confused. He does like a pop up. He like jumps off the bottom rope and does a kick to him
Yes,
where he's like, "Yeah, it's
yeah,
so
I think so. I mean, I might be mixing it too, but I
yeah,
think that happens, and that's so
yeah,
so good. Uh, and fucking Mortis later on in the match gets another penis thing. Although this one, I almost half believe was a shoot because he goes for a moonsault that Glacier rolls out of the way of, and he lands, and he is like grabbing his dick. And it looks like he had just had his legs too far, like pulled out for the move. So when he landed like balls first on the mat.
Well, that's when Glacier is crawling for the hot tag, and the crowd is
Yes.
really hot for it. As you said, his Southern training is showing. And something that I really loved here was Wrath cuts off the hot tag by like destroying Ernest Miller off the apron. So
Mhm.
Ernest Miller just jumps in and like does the hot tag offense
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, dude, it's so funny. Like, and it's great because, like, why wouldn't Ernest, like, these guys have shown a lack of regard for the rules for like the whole like storyline. They're gonna get in, they're gonna kick the shit out of each other other because they all have beef that is not known unless you read the magazine.
Yeah, and they've
But
used
like
a mysterious green chair earlier in this match too. For
they
some reason.
do, they have the Mortis chair, which that was so sick. The
Yeah.
fucking like saw trap thrust kick against
Yes.
the chair and the ring post, like
Insane.
great way to make Glacier immediately be on the defensive for like a couple minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, just Ernest just runs in and just does the whole thing anyways, and of course hits all of the coolest kicks you have ever seen.
Yeah. Including that jump spin round kick lariat thing on both of them.
Yeah.
Glacier gets the old school corner punches. The crowd's chanting along. Uh, there was a really slick. I loved this. I'm sure I've seen this before, but it really stood out to me. Mortis is going for a vertical suplex, and Glacier like reverses it into a DDT.
Yeah, he just grabs his hand, throws him off, and DDTs him.
Yeah, was so cool.
It's so good. And fucking of course Mortis, Canyon, just one of the best workers. In the same way that almost Big Bubba was, where he could make
Yeah,
anyone look great and he would do all the coolest shit ever. He sells the DDT like death.
yeah. And you think he's out. He's getting pinned. His foot is under the ropes. James Vandenberg comes over and puts a chain around the bottom of his boot, which
Yes,
is
sir.
also such a sick idea for
Yeah.
the karate, the pit fighter, and then puts his foot on the rope. Gets up. There's like some bullshit with Glacier. He like fakes out like he's gonna kick Vandenberg, but then he decides he's too honorable. But then he turns around and fucking kicks the shit out of him
Dude
anyway.
kicks him so hard.
And yes, I rewound it looking for the leg slap. There wasn't. He just fucking smoked him.
Yeah.
Mortis hits his own cryonic kick. They keep saying to the chest and solar plexus, which is where it first hit, but Glacier kind of senses that it's hitting his chest, and he somehow like pushes his own face through
Yeah.
the canyon heel,
Yeah.
so it ends him in the chest and then the face.
Yeah.
He's lost. He's taking his first loss. Ernest
Yeah,
Miller on his knees, hands in the air. No.
they do make a big point of that on commentary, which I'll give them that no matter what. Even with the punches thing that they don't really go into, the Masters like helmet, which they don't even mention like once during this match. They mention it right at the beginning where they're like, he probably doesn't have to worry about the helmet anymore because I assume they just stole it back. Um, but they like everything else with this angle they have barely talked about. But the one thing they make sure to mention is that Glacier's winning streak has ended.
And if they did get the helmet back, it didn't happen on TV. So, I promise. So this is it. I mean, it goes on a high. The angle is never resolved. Glacier turns on Ernest Miller. That's never resolved. Glacier I think his first singles loss is to Buff Bagwell, and then he becomes like a jobber for a while. So he goes from Goldberg to jobber,
Yeah.
even jobbing to Goldberg, and tearing up his knee in the process.
Oh.
He gets a little feud with Saturn. He finally gets to do the Coach Buzz Stern gimmick. In the very latter day, I think this one was never resolved because the company died. He actually brought back the Glacier gimmick uh, as a superhero type character, like Captain Quark.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be helping baby faces, but he's slapping fans down the aisle and like kind of like what Mystico does when the Technicos are getting their shit rocked by the Rudos. And he's on the
Yeah.
ramp like raising the roof and shit. So the guys get beat down. Out of wrestling for a while, and then apparently, as you told me, he comes back in AEW. So Glacier gets, I'm sure, a lot of money out of this, but Bischoff's pet guy ends up being a nothing except a cool guy in the game, and that's sort of a footnote. Um, Mortis, of course, definitely fares, I think, the best out of all these guys. And Wrath and Mortis continue teaming for a time.
Oh yeah.
And Glacier and Ernest Miller continue teaming for a time.
Because
Um,
I mean, because because Wrath and Mortis are around for a bit, because that eventually I don't know when this what happens, but I think they split, and then like not too long after is when they when Chronic gets going.
Yes, they team for a while, and I'll go ahead and do these. You need to watch. Uh,
Yes.
First, Glacier and Ernest Miller versus Psychosis and Laparca from like August of '97. Super fun match. Um, the Saturday night tags we talked about, August '97 and January '98. Mortis and Wrath move on from this feud into a feud with the Faces of Fear, Mig and the Barbarian. They have two TV matches and a pay per view match, and they are all three fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, in ring might be better than this feud. Fucking awesome. Um, watch the Cat versus Scott Norton, also where he like gives him a receipt for stiffing him and like does the most brutal kick I've ever seen. That
Yeah.
wasn't like Maeda.
Yeah, I will say also with the Cat, two things about him. One, out of all these guys, he's definitely the one that I'm super into the most,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I've watched the most of him, and he is just so fun in all of his TV stuff. And two, I have learned he becomes the Cat in the match where he faces the now heel Glacier.
Yes, and they eventually reunite as heels because Glacier apparently like becomes a big fan of the Cat gimmick, which who
Yes.
wouldn't be, right? It's James Brown karate. Apparently,
Yeah.
that's just Ernest Miller's personality let loose, and he does. Uh, he's insane in that, especially on the B shows and stuff in that era of WCW. There's like a great Booker T match. He's really good and underrated and fun, and he makes it like Mortis eventually does to WWE, and they're both released in '04, I think. And
Yeah.
he does some acting. He's in The Wrestler. He's in a Michael J. White movie, and then returns to the Georgia Indies in like 2015, doing like 3 matches a year.
That's so
Uh,
awesome.
but Wrath and Mortis continue to team. Mortis unmasks and joins the flock. Wrath gets his own Goldberg push. He gets a big undefeated streak push, but he tears his ACL on like a
Wow.
diving lariat or something. He comes back. They
Oh.
form Chronic, All Japan Pro Wrestling Tag Team Champions. Chronic. The last Chronic match was actually against Goldberg and Muto in All Japan.
Yeah. I think that might have been like I think that was the last Brian Clark match too, I think, or
It
it's one of them. One of
yeah,
them their last match ever is like the All Japan Muto match.
yeah. And then of course Vandenberg goes on to be the Sinister Minister, ECW TNA, doing coke on Billy Corgan's television.
That's that. I mean, come on, man. Is
John
there
Ross Sapp
anything
style.
that? Yeah. Oh no. Okay. I'll correct myself. It is the last match of both of them. That Goldberg Muto match is the final match of both Brian's careers.
Wow, what a way to go out.
What a way.
So that is Blood Runs Cold. You now have more information than anyone on Earth could ever possibly want about the Mortal Kombat division in WCW. That again, I think I said this at the beginning. I think there's like meat on the bone left on this idea. You
Yeah.
don't have to make it cheesy, although you could. Like back then, it was like, oh, we're not doing silly stuff anymore, right? Now it's the nation of adult babies. They would love a fighting game thing in
Yeah.
AEW.
Dude, okay, so I did want to say because usually we do a Q&A part here, and there are some good questions that we could do because we have again we've gotten a lot of questions from people, not enough though. People keep giving us questions. We would love to get them, but I had a question for you that just for the both of us. Uh, if they were if Bischoff did not get cold feet, uh, no pun intended, um if he had not bowed out on the angle as much as he did, and they actually decide to say, okay, we've built these guys to build the division, let's let them actually do the division. Who would you like to see be more further integrated into, I guess, just the Blood Runs Cold division.
Well, I think Jerry Flynn would be a good fit for sure.
Yes, yes,
Obviously, um, I think it was Tom Green who said they should have made him the cop brother,
yeah.
which would have been perfect.
That would have been so good.
Yeah, I think that, as we already said, like, and Bischoff's one, he has a million excuses. One of
Mhm.
the things he says is that Glacier was too big and that he wrestled like a heavyweight and his kicks looked slow, and that it would have worked better if they had put like a cruiserweight in that role, like
Yeah.
like Billy Kidman or something. But I think luchadors would like go crazy with this style.
Mhm.
Some of the Dragon Gate guys that are kicking around like a year later
Okay,
would
I
have been
was gonna
fucking sick
say,
for this.
because there's a there's like a Jerry Flynn versus Judo Suwa match
Yeah,
that I watched, and while watching that, I was like, if you could get you could get like Judo Suwa and Sumo Fuji as like part of the fucking thing, because I think also if you like built the division not only around like the martial arts, but also like tags, because you have the two big
yeah,
tags of Miller and Glacier and then Mortis and Wrath, like have Judo Suwa and Sumo Fuji in there as like a judo and sumo guy, and then get Jerry Flynn a partner and fucking. I was thinking, and I don't know if they would like as a duo would work as much as one of them as a singles. But the Faces of Fear
yeah,
doing more stuff with them, specifically Meng, because later on, like in the 90, in like 99, they do kind of make Meng like they fully focus on him being like a martial artist.
yeah,
And he is awesome in that role. He has some crazy matches with Jerry Flynn at that time. If they had him come in and kind of be part of that, and I think Barbarian could have played ball with that too. Just have him as like more of a, and it's okay with this division to have guys that are more wrestling focused because it actually kind of
yeah.
helps out whenever they do the wrestling versus striker stuff.
I think another guy that was kicking around in W, because I think it's hard to say guys that were like on the roster because these are like characters they're creating out of scratch to some
Yeah,
degree. But I do, the Faces of Fear would fit perfectly already, so you don't have to do anything to like change their character.
yeah.
I think a guy that they had on TV a little bit in this period that if they had wanted to do this with him that would have worked would be maybe like Yuji Nagata. Bring Sonny Ono
Oh,
in with Yuji Nagata.
dude,
Yeah,
Sonny Ono with just like an entire like Japanese guy stable, because you could have
yeah.
him with Judo Suwa and Sumo Fuji, and it's like Sonny Ono is funneling the greatest martial artists of the dojos of Japan into WCW to try and to prove their martial arts superiority over Glacier.
It would be sick to bring in like Ultimo Guerrero and Ray Bucanero as like a
Oh
tag
my
team. Like
god.
they could just get them to the power plant for a little karate. My God.
Dude, oh my god.
I mean, anybody who's like, I think, smart and gets it, you could make something work with this.
Yeah. There was like, I was gonna say too, the all the guys that were in not New Blood, but Natural Born Thrillers. Like if you
Yes.
picked like one or two of those guys and gave them the same treatment that like Canyon got, where you gave him like the martial artist training, like get fucking Johnny the Bull and give him like a boxing coach.
Yes.
And turn him like into a like straight up like Golden Gloves guy that does springboard leg drops.
You could get I think the Can-Am Connection was working WWF in like '98. You could get those guys and put crazy costumes on them and have
Oh.
Phil LaFine and Doug Furness going crazy in this division. I bet they would come up with some wild shit.
Oh, they absolutely would.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I wish we had gotten more out of it. And I'm down for it. If any Tony Khan, if you want to get really into karate and make like a fucking hybrid karate division, just don't put speedball in it, and we'll be
Yeah, no, don't put Spiel and like hire us as consultants and
yes.
give us the same budget that Eric Bischoff gave
Oh,
himself, and like we will print you we'll print you really cool matches. I don't know if we'll print you money, but I think I think we might print you money, but we'll
But
definitely print you some really cool matches.
you'll get some of that street cred back. They
Yeah,
won't
hey
keep
brother,
saying you're faking
you
the funk.
you got all the money in the world already. You don't got to worry about that. You got to worry about proving that you don't you aren't like faking it. You've been faking it this whole time. You're not real. We'll make you real.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, what do we got anything on on deck for next week? A
Oh
little
my
more
god,
normal.
dude. Yeah, I guess yeah, we probably will move something to something that's a little bit more in line with the usual stuff. Uh and I'm honestly not too sure, but there's one thing that I think I'm gonna pull the trigger on probably the week after. So not
Okay.
this week, but next week I think we're gonna do another two-parter.
Oh, beautiful.
Um but for this one, you know what? We have talked so much about stuff that is like old. And again, that's because this is like when all this shit's happening. You know, the different style stuff kicks off in the 70s and the peak of it is in like the late 80s to early 90s and we've gone pretty much as far as the early 2000s up to this point. And it feels weird to go farther because that's when you get to the point that mixed martial arts is like very much a thing, and just by the nature of this kind of stipulation, as that kind of proliferates, people are less interested in doing it because it's like, oh, people come to us for wrestling, they don't want to see this because they can already see that like Pride or Bellator or UFC or fucking however whatever many feds. But there have still been matches that have happened in the last 15 years in the 2010s that I think definitely qualify as different style fights. So I think next week we will be taking a look at a few of those, the different style fights to happen in the 2010s.
Can't wait. Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this foray into utter bullshit as much as
Yeah,
I did.
I feel like so many people are gonna be like fucking thrown off because we've been talking about a bunch of bullshit from like Shin Nihon, and now we're giving him the Ernest Miller episode. But yeah, no, this was a ton of fun. I love anytime Avi can go deep into something like this, and I'm so happy you did all that research. I would have never known the stuff about the magazine. That's fucking unreal. So thank you so much, Avi, for that, and thank you for your insight as a man who lived through this as
Yes,
well, who saw all of this.
I did. And I think we also you wanted to plug your blog again, right? Or we need
I
to plug your
do.
blog again because we
I
got
I
big
do.
things.
Yeah, big things. I feel bad because we just did it 2 weeks in a row, but last week I mentioned that something might be coming soon. That has actually changed. Something is coming incredibly soon. There is a chance that while you are listening to this, it is already out. It may have come out Monday night. If not, it will be coming out tomorrow, Wednesday, whenever this goes up. It will be coming out sometime on Wednesday, but it may already be out. It depends on how fast I can get it done. I don't fucking know. Uh, and if you care about this podcast, you will probably enjoy this because it is the central figure of the of what I'm working on is a man that we love so much, who is kind of the poster boy for this entire podcast, is going to be a guy that we continue to go back to until the day we stop doing it, which is going to be the day the sun dies.
Ugh, ugh,
Um,
ugh.
and it is also it's about Masashi Oyagi, and it's about how Masashi Oyagi may have never needed to ever be a wrestling promoter, but that's all I'm gonna say. Just keep a lookout or read it right now. I don't fucking
I
know.
read it.
I'll talk about it on my Twitter for a long time when I post it, so you'll hear about it. Yeah, and listen to Fire Under Fire.
Yes, yes, and
They're
I'll say this too. Uh, the next few weeks of File Under Fire are going to be very dumb and fun, and the one that will be out probably before this is out that you can go back and listen to. We are focusing on the GWE case of a man we talked about today, Ray Traylor, the Big Boss Man.
I'm so excited.
Yes. Let's go. Well, next time you hear from us, your life will have been enriched so much by John's blog and File Under Fire, and you'll be ready to listen to different style fights of the 2010s. And we will see you then.
Goodbye.
Bye.